Hey everyone, welcome back to Plain English Podcast, your daily English practice. I'm Emily.
And I'm David. We're really happy that you're here with us today. If you're new to our podcast, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our daily episodes.
So, David, how was your weekend? Did you do anything interesting or exciting?
I did. Actually, yes, I did do something fun. But wait, I did do? Is that even correct? It sounds a little strange to me.
It is correct, and it's funny because you just used the word do in 3 different ways in about 5 seconds.
I did?
Yes. First, you asked, did you do anything? That's a question. Then you said, I did. That's a short answer. And after that, you said, I did do something. That's for emphasis. 3 different uses, all with one small word.
Wow, my brain is already doing gymnastics. I can almost feel it stretching inside my head.
Welcome to the world of do, does, and did. These tiny words are everywhere in English, and they can be confusing.
They really can be. Yesterday I was texting my friend Jake and I accidentally wrote, "Does you want to play basketball?" He immediately sent back a crying laughing emoji.
Oh no, does you? That must have felt embarrassing.
It really did. I meant to write, "Do you want to play basketball?" But in that moment, my brain completely froze. I just stared at my phone and I could feel my face getting hot.
Don't worry, that's actually very common. Even people who have been learning English for many years sometimes mix up do and does. I see mistakes like that all the time.
That makes me feel a little better. For a second, I thought Jake was going to take a screenshot and send it to everyone.
Honestly, he probably would do that.
Don't say that.
I'm joking. But anyway, I think it's time we really talk about this topic. Let's finally understand do, does, and did.
Yes, please. Someone actually left a comment asking us to explain these words more clearly.
That's right. So keep your requests coming, everyone. We love hearing from you.
So, Emily, let's start simple. What's the basic difference between do and does?
Great question. The rule is actually very simple. We use do with I, you, we, and they, and we use does with he, she, and it. That's the main rule in the present tense.
Wait, that's it? It's just about the subject?
Exactly. It depends on who you are talking about.
So, I do my homework, you do your homework, we do our homework, they do their homework.
Perfect examples. And then he does his homework, she does her homework, it does homework? That sounds funny. It is for things and animals. For example, the machine does the work automatically, or my phone does everything for me.
Oh, I see. So I can say the computer does the calculation.
Exactly. And here's something important. When you use does, the main verb stays in its base form. You don't add another S.
So I shouldn't say, she does likes coffee.
No, not in a normal sentence. Normally, you just say, she likes coffee. We usually use does in questions and negative sentences.
Okay, I think I'm finally starting to understand. So in a normal positive sentence, I don't even need do or does.
That's right. And next, we can talk about how to use them in questions and negatives. Exactly. I like coffee, she likes coffee. In these normal positive sentences, we don't need do or does at all. They're kind of like the backstage crew in a theater. You don't see them, but they are still doing important work behind the scenes.
That's such a good metaphor. So they're hiding quietly behind the curtain, waiting for their moment.
Yes, exactly. But the moment you ask a question or make a negative sentence, boom, they step right onto the stage and become the stars of the show.
I like that image. Okay, show me how they work in questions first.
Sure. To ask a question in the present tense, you put do or does at the beginning of the sentence. For example, do you like coffee? Does she work here? Do they live nearby?
So the structure changes. We move do or does to the front.
Right. And here's something very important. The verb after do and does always stays in its base form. We say, does she work here? Not, does she works here?
That's such an important detail. Does already has the S, so the main verb doesn't need one.
Exactly. The S lives in does, so the verb stays simple.
Oh no, I think I've been saying, does he plays guitar for years?
Don't worry, many learners make that mistake. It sounds complicated at first, but once you hear the correct form enough times, your brain starts to recognize it naturally. Eventually, it becomes automatic.
I hope so. I want my brain to fix that habit.
It will. Now let's talk about negatives.
Yes, please. Negatives always confuse me a little.
The rule is very similar. For negatives in the present tense, we use don't with I, you, we, and they, and doesn't with he, she, and it. For example, I don't like spiders. She doesn't eat meat. They don't watch TV.
So again, it depends on the subject. Don't for I, you, we, they. Doesn't for he, she, it.
That's right. And just like with questions, the verb after don't and doesn't stays in its base form. We say, she doesn't like coffee, not she doesn't likes coffee.
That feels so familiar. I used to say she doesn't likes coffee all the time. It felt natural because my mouth just wanted to add that extra S.
That's muscle memory. It's powerful, but you're retraining it now. The more you practice the correct form, the more natural it will feel.
Okay, I'm ready for the past tense. When do we use did?
Did is the past tense version of do and does. And here's the best part. Did works for everyone. I did, you did, he did, she did, we did, they did. No need to choose between two forms.
Oh, that actually sounds easier than the present tense.
It really is. For example, did you go to the store? Did she call you? Did they finish the project?
And what about negatives in the past?
We use didn't for everyone. I didn't go, she didn't call, they didn't finish.
And let me guess, the verb stays in its base form again?
Yes, that's very important. Many learners say, did you went to the store? But that's incorrect. Did already shows that the sentence is in the past. So we say, did you go to the store? Not, did you went?
I definitely say did you went sometimes. It's like my brain wants to make the sentence extra past, double past, super past.
Super past. I love that expression. But no, we only need one past tense marker. Did already does the hard work, so the main verb can stay simple.
So did is like a bodyguard for the verb. It says, don't worry, main verb, I'll handle the past tense. You just stay in your base form.
That's actually the perfect way to think about it. Did protects the main verb from changing.
Okay, let me practice. Did Lily cook dinner last night?
Perfect. Not did Lily cooked dinner, just cook.
She didn't cook. We didn't eat at home. We didn't go anywhere fancy. We just ordered pizza.
Every sentence is correct. And notice how natural that sounds. You used did and didn't correctly each time, and the verbs stayed in their base form.
You're right. When I stop overthinking it, everything flows more smoothly. I can actually feel my confidence growing. It's like a small engine inside my chest, slowly warming up and getting ready to run.
That's a wonderful feeling. And the more you practice, the stronger that engine will become. That's how language works, David. The more you practice, the less you have to think about the rules. After a while, it becomes natural, almost like breathing. You don't stop and think about every breath you take, right?
That makes sense. At first, you think about every little rule, but later it just happens automatically.
Exactly. Practice builds confidence and fluency at the same time.
Can we do a quick practice round together? You give me a situation and I'll try to make a question in a negative sentence.
I love that idea. Okay, here's the first situation. Your friend plays tennis.
Okay, the question would be, does he play tennis? And the negative sentence, he doesn't play tennis on Mondays.
Excellent! Both sentences are perfect. I'm feeling a little more confident already. Good. Let's try another one. Your parents live in Denver.
All right, the question is, do they live in Denver? And the negative, they don't live downtown, they live in the suburbs.
Perfect again. You're following the pattern correctly.
Okay, now give me something in the past tense.
Sure. Lily went to the gym yesterday.
The question would be, did Lily go to the gym? And the negative, she didn't go in the morning. She went after work.
Beautiful. Every sentence is correct. Do you see how the pattern always stays the same? We use do, does, or did, and then we use the base form of the verb.
Yes, it really is like following a recipe. Once you know the ingredients and the steps, you can make so many different sentences.
That's a perfect comparison. Okay, I'm feeling good about this. What's the next step? Now, let's talk about something really interesting, the emphasis do.
The emphasis do? What does that mean?
Sometimes native speakers use do, does, or did to add emphasis. It makes the sentence stronger. For example, if someone says, "You don't like my cooking," and you strongly disagree, you can say, "I do like your cooking."
Oh, I see. So the word do adds extra power to the sentence.
Exactly. It's like verbal bold text. You're underlining your words with your voice.
So if I say, I do like it, it means, trust me, I really like it.
Yes, that's right. Here's another example. If someone says she never helps, you could respond, she does help. She helped last week.
And in the past tense, we could say, he did try. He tried really hard.
Perfect. The emphasis did is especially useful when someone doubts you. For example, I did send the email. She did call you. We did finish on time.
I actually use this with Lily sometimes. She'll say, you forgot to take out the trash. And I'll say, I did take it out. I did.
And did you really take it out?
Well, sometimes I did. Sometimes I only thought about taking it out.
So your brain decided the task was finished, but your hands didn't actually do it.
Exactly. My intentions were good, but my execution wasn't always successful.
That happens to everyone. Now let's talk about do as a main verb, because do isn't only a helper verb. It also has its own meaning.
Right, like when we say, do the dishes, or do your homework.
Exactly. When do is the main verb, it usually means to perform an action or complete a task. For example, do the laundry, do the cleaning, do the shopping.
So it's often connected to chores and responsibilities.
Yes, do is very commonly used with tasks, duties, and activities, things that need to be completed. For example, do your homework, do the dishes, do the housework.
There are also common expressions like do your best.
I love that phrase. What does it mean to you?
My dad used to say that to me before every basketball game. He would put his hand on my shoulder and say, just do your best, son. That simple sentence always made me feel calm and supported.
That's really beautiful. Do your best is such a comforting phrase. It gives you permission to try without feeling too much pressure.
Yes, it reminds you that effort is more important than perfection.
Exactly. Now, what about the phrase, do someone a favor?
Oh, that's a good one. We often say, can you do me a favor? It means we're asking someone to help us or do something kind.
Yes, it's extremely common in everyday English.
For example, I could say, hey, Jake, can you do me a favor and pick up some coffee for me?
Perfect example. That sounds very natural. Perfect use of that phrase, David. Now here's another fun expression with do. Do the trick.
Do the trick? That sounds like something a magician would say.
It does sound like that, but it actually has a different meaning. Do the trick means to solve a problem or to work effectively. For example, I had a terrible headache, but 2 aspirin did the trick. That means the aspirin worked and the headache went away.
Oh, I get it. So if my website wasn't loading and I restarted my computer, I could say, restarting my computer did the trick.
Exactly. That sounds completely natural.
I like that expression. It feels very practical.
It is. Now let's talk about do well and do badly.
Those are about performance, right?
Yes, we use them when we talk about how someone performs in a test, a job, a competition, or even in life in general. For example, how did you do on the test? And you can answer, I did well, or I didn't do so well.
I hear that question all the time after exams.
Exactly. And we can also use it for businesses. For example, how's the business doing? Or how's your new project doing?
That's true. People often ask me, how's your freelance work doing?
And what do you usually say?
Honestly, some months it's doing amazing. Other months it's just surviving. My bank account definitely has emotions, and sometimes those emotions are panic.
I think a lot of freelancers can relate to that feeling.
Oh, definitely. And when Jake asks me, "How are you doing?" I'm never sure if he means emotionally or financially. The answer to both questions is usually it depends on the week.
That's so relatable. Speaking of that, how are you doing is a very common everyday question, but how do you do is much more formal.
Yes, how do you do sounds very polite and old-fashioned, but how are you doing is something we say many times a day.
Exactly. And here's another very important phrase. What do you do? That means, what is your job?
Oh, yes, that's a key phrase for social situations. If someone asks me, "What do you do?" I can simply say, "I'm a freelance designer."
That's perfect. But many learners make small mistakes with this question. Sometimes they say, what are you do? Or what you do. They forget the helper do.
And without that helper, the sentence feels incomplete, like there's a hole in it.
Exactly. The word do fills that hole and makes the question grammatically correct.
Can we talk about some common mistakes? I know I make them, and maybe hearing them clearly will help people notice their own mistakes.
Absolutely. Let's review a few important ones.
Okay, what's mistake number 1?
Mistake number 1 is using does with I, you, we, or they. For example, does you want coffee? That's wrong. The correct form is do you want coffee?
That was literally the message I sent Jake. I'm living proof that this mistake happens.
It's very common, so don't feel bad. Mistake number 2 is adding an S to the verb after does or doesn't. For example, she doesn't wants to go. That's wrong. The correct sentence is she doesn't want to go.
The S is already inside the word doesn't. It's there even if we don't see it clearly.
That's a great way to think about it. Now, mistake number 3, using the past tense after did. For example, did you watched the movie? That's incorrect. The correct form is did you watch the movie?
So did already tells us the sentence is in the past. The verb doesn't need to change too.
Exactly. The verb stays in its base form.
I like to imagine the verb wearing casual clothes while did is already dressed in a formal past tense suit.
That's such a creative image. And here's mistake number 4, forgetting do completely in questions. For example, saying, you like pizza?
But sometimes native speakers say that, right?
Yes. In casual conversation with rising intonation, people do say, you like pizza, and it sounds like a question. But grammatically, the correct form is, do you like pizza?
So the short version is informal, but people still understand it.
Exactly. In texting and relaxed speech, you'll hear it. But if you want clear, correct English, it's better to use do.
I feel like everything is finally connecting. It's like puzzle pieces are falling into place inside my head. I can almost feel my brain reorganizing itself.
That's the best feeling, when grammar stops feeling like a list of rules and starts feeling natural.
Like breathing. You don't think about it, you just do it. See, I use do again.
And it never stops appearing.
It really doesn't. Do is everywhere.
Before we finish, let's talk about one more expression, do without.
What does that mean?
To do without means to manage without something, to live or continue even though you don't have something you usually need or want.
So if I say I can do without coffee today, it means I can survive even if I don't have it.
Exactly. It might not be easy, but you can manage. That's a useful phrase.
Especially for coffee lovers.
Very true.
I honestly can't do without my morning coffee. Without it, I feel completely different.
That sounds serious.
It is serious. Without coffee, I'm basically a zombie. My eyes might be open, but nobody's really home. My brain just doesn't start working until I have that first cup.
Can't do without coffee is such a relatable sentence. I think many people feel the same way.
Definitely. Coffee feels like survival sometimes.
Speaking of survival, let's talk about another useful phrase, make do. It means to manage with what you have, even if it's not perfect or ideal.
So if we don't have butter for a recipe, we could say, we don't have butter, so we'll have to make do with olive oil.
Exactly. That's a perfect example. Make do is a survival phrase. It's very useful in everyday life when things aren't exactly how you want them to be.
I like that. It sounds practical and realistic.
It really is. Now, how are you feeling about everything we've covered?
Honestly, I feel really good. I feel much more confident than before. Let's do a quick review to make sure everything is clear.
Great idea. Let's do it. And see, you just used do as a main verb again. Let's do it means let's start, let's begin.
It really is everywhere in English.
Okay, vocabulary review time. First point, do versus does in the present tense. We use do with I, you, we, and they. We use does with he, she, and it.
So the subject decides which one we use.
Exactly. Second point, did for the past tense. It works for all subjects. For example, did you go? Did she call? Did they arrive?
I like that one. Did is simple. One word for everyone.
Third point, don't, doesn't, and didn't for negatives. For example, I don't know, she doesn't care, he didn't go.
I like to think of them as the negative crew.
That's a fun way to remember it. Fourth point, emphasis. We can use do, does, or did to add power to a sentence. For example, I do like it. She does help. He did try.
So it's like verbal bold text. You're adding emotional strength to your words.
Exactly. Fifth point, do as a main verb for tasks and chores. For example, do the dishes, do the laundry, do the housework.
All about getting things done.
Sixth, do your best. It means try as hard as you can.
That one always feels emotional to me. It reminds me of my dad.
Seventh, do someone a favor. That means help someone.
Can you do me a favor? That's everyday kindness in one sentence.
Eighth, do the trick. It means something works or solves the problem.
Like when medicine actually works and fixes your headache.
Ninth, what do you do? That's how we ask about someone's job.
The number one question at social events.
And 10th, do without and make do. Both are about managing without something or using what you have.
Survival English. I love that phrase.
Me too. Now, do you want to try another quick practice round?
Yes, please. I want to make sure everything is really sticking in my mind.
Great. I'll give you a situation and you tell me how to use do, does, or did. Ready?
I'm ready. Go ahead.
Your friend asks about your morning routine. She says, what blank you do before work?
The correct question is, what do you do before work? We use do because the subject is you and it's present tense.
Perfect answer. Next one, you want to ask about Lily's sister's job. What blank she do?
That would be, what does she do? We use does because it's third person singular, she.
Exactly right. Now, past tense. You're asking about Jake's weekend. Blank he go to the beach.
Did he go to the beach? We use did for past tense and the verb stays in its base form. Go, not went.
Excellent. Here's a tricky one. Someone says your cooking is terrible and you want to defend yourself strongly.
Oh, that feels very real. I would say, I do know how to cook. I just had a bad day.
That's perfect. The emphasis do adds emotion and strength to your defense.
I could actually feel my chest puff up when I said that. It felt like I was protecting my reputation.
That's the power of emphasis. Okay, one more. Your roommate didn't clean the apartment. How would you say that?
He didn't clean the apartment. We use didn't for the past negative, and clean stays in its base form.
Perfect again. You're really getting comfortable with this. 5 for 5, David. You absolutely nailed every single example.
That feels really good. It's like I just crossed a finish line after a long race. I can actually feel my shoulders relaxing now.
That's the power of practice. When you can use the grammar naturally instead of just memorizing rules, that's when you know you're making real progress.
It's true. At the beginning, everything felt complicated, but now it feels much clearer.
And we covered 10 key uses of do today. That's a lot of doing for one episode.
It really is. But honestly, you've been doing a great job explaining everything this whole time.
I see what you did there.
I couldn't resist making that little joke. The word do is just everywhere in English. Once you start noticing it, you see it in almost every conversation.
That's so true. It's like the word that secretly holds English together. We use it for questions, negatives, emphasis, tasks, expressions. It really does it all.
Do does it all. That sounds like something that should be printed on a t-shirt.
I would definitely wear that shirt.
Me too. It would be the nerdiest grammar shirt ever.
And we would be proud of it.
Absolutely.
All right, everyone. That was our deep dive into do, does, and did. 3 very small words, but they have enormous power in English.
Before we finish, we have a question for you. Tell us in the comments, what do you do every morning? Or what did you do last weekend?
Try to use do, does, or did correctly in your answer. Even one simple sentence is perfect practice.
Yes, don't worry about being perfect. The goal is to practice and build confidence.
We would really love to see your examples and read your sentences.
And if you enjoyed this lesson and found it helpful, please like the episode, subscribe to the podcast, and share it with a friend who is also learning English.
Don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss our daily conversations and grammar tips.
We'll be back tomorrow with another easy and natural English discussion.
Until then, keep learning, keep practicing, and keep doing your best.
Remember, you can do it.
See you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.